Hey everybody, my name is Robert. I appreciate you stopping by, and today I'm going to be showing you guys how I do Memphis style pulled pork in my 18.5-inch Weber Smoky Mountain. But before we get started, just to let you know, if you want to see pit porn, unfortunately all the footage of the smoker got deleted, so this is just going to be a video of me showing you guys how I prep the barbecue or the pork butt, and then how I wrap it, and then how I season it, and how I pull it at the end. One of the first things you guys can see that I do is after I pull it out of the cryovac, I like to take a paper towel and wipe it down. Then I like to feel around to see if there are any bones that I forgot or the butcher forgot. And then the next thing I like to do is kind of a personal preference. As you can see, I did there, I made a boo-boo. But me and my wife like to pull the fat cap off the top and try to shave it down as much as we can. Like I said, that's just kind of personal preference. Some people don't like to do that, some people do. But me and my wife, we're not big fans of it. There's plenty of fat inside the meat, so trimming the top off isn't really, in my opinion, going to hurt anything very much. But I'm sure someone will comment and say it's the end of the world. No. That being said, like I mentioned, I like to go around and just slowly start trimming it off, the fat cap off with I use a boning knife, but probably want to use a boning knife if you're just getting started. If you can get your hands on one, I have two. They make easy work with trimming because you're able to bend the blade and they're real flexible. So see here, I use a shooting knife, and then I also have a Victorinox. What I like to do is I like to go around and fill in the sides of the pork butt and just kind of run my hands around it and make sure there's no bones that the butcher forgot or anything like that when they were chopping it up. And then I like to just start shaving the top off. Like you can see here, I do that just to kind of, one, it helps with my horrible knife skills, which I'm working on, and then two, it just kind of, I feel like it helps you get the seasoning down in there. And I like to flip it and start on the back side. You see it do the same thing. This was 2 pork butts that we got at the grocery store. It was like a 2-for-1 deal. Like I said, I got a little piece of bone there. But anyway, this was a 2-for-1 deal we got at the grocery store. They both came frozen, so me and my wife decided when we cooked them, we would just cook them both together and then figure out what to do with them. So, but like one of the things I also like to do is I like to try to, unfortunately these were a little too frozen to do it, but I like to try to get down in there where the blade bone is, if they're bone-in pork shoulders, and peel the pork back a little from the blade bone. I feel like it really kind of helps with getting the seasoning in there, and it gives you a little bit of extra seasoning. Another thing we like to do, as you can see here, is you don't want to like put the cryovac juice in the sink or anything like that. So I usually put it in a hotel pan, and then I'll wash the hotel pan. You can see here too, what I'm doing is I'm using mustard. Like I said in the beginning of the video, I'm going to be doing Memphis style pulled pork. And to me, the things that are synonymous with Memphis style pork are, first of all, it's pork. They don't do a lot of beef down in Memphis. And then the second thing is that they like to use a mustard-based binder, and they like to use more of a sweeter style seasoning, I find. They're not really like Texas, where they're just salt and pepper, maybe garlic, or Carolina, where they're just salt and vinegar. And then the last thing to me that also screams Memphis style is they like to use a tomato-based, whether it's a ketchup or just tomato sauce or something. They like to use more of a tomato-based sweet barbecue sauce. So anyway, you can see here I'm carefully navigating the mustard soaked pork butt, putting it back in the hotel pan. What I'm going to do is, you might see me kind of walk in and off of camera. Normally I would wear gloves, but because of the pandemic it's hard for me to get a hold of gloves, so this time I'm just kind of doing it all natural. But after I season the pork butt with the binder, I like to use the hotel pan to put down the rub. Today we're using a Blues Hog dry rub seasoning. You can see here, Blues Hog is I believe they're a company based out of either Missouri or Tennessee, but closer to Memphis than I am. So I like to do my seasoning in layers. I'll put this dry rub down, and then I'll rub it in. You don't have to rub it in. Another thing you can do is preferences. Some people will just kind of put it on there, let it sit for 15 to 20 minutes, and it gets a real tacky look to it, and then they'll flip it. But I was in kind of a hurry, so I just kind of rubbed it in. But I'll put this seasoning on. I'll put it in the fridge, let the butt sit in the fridge for a little bit, and then I'll put the next layer, which is the Blues Hog. I think it's the sweet and savory, which is, like I said, it's more of a sweet kind of seasoning. And then I'll let that sit in the fridge for a few hours, just to kind of work its way into the meat. Another thing that I'll say is, if you don't have one, I would highly suggest getting a hotel pan. It's worth its weight in gold when it comes to doing these big chunks of meat. I've had mine for about 3 months now, and it's amazing because it's big enough. I can put a brisket in there. I can put in 2 pork shoulders or pork butts like you see here, or I could put in probably 2 chickens if I really wanted to. But it's not a hard thing to find. Probably order it off Amazon. I picked mine up at a local restaurant supply store. So that's enough of the plug for the hotel pan. Speaking of plugs, if you like this video, be sure to hit the like button and subscribe. Alright, that's enough of that. As you can see here, I let it sit for a little bit, and then I'm flipping it over so I can do the back side. Like I said, if the pork butts weren't frozen, I probably would have. And when I say frozen, they were really close to being unthawed. But normally, if they wouldn't have been this frozen, I would have trimmed in the inside and seasoned the inside too. I would definitely say, if you're dealing with frozen pork butts, you want to give yourself at a minimum 3 days, maybe even 4, to let it sit in the fridge and kind of de-thaw. That's kind of what we did. We put them in the hotel pan, hashtag hotel pan, and we put them in the hotel pan. We let them sit in the top of the fridge for about 3 days, and then we pulled them out. And then you can see this is the end product after we seasoned it. It's sitting on the butt was on the smoker, I want to say, for about 6.5 hours here. And I like to wait until you start seeing that top layer of fat split. And then once it starts splitting, that's usually when I'll pull it out and start wrapping. Usually that's going to happen around 160 degrees. So anyway, like I said, I pulled it out after about 6.5 hours, and I like to add a little bit of honey, a little bit of apple juice, and I put some butter in there because butter makes everything taste better. And then I like to do a double wrap, and what I mean by that is I'll wrap it in the foil going one way, and then I'll turn the butt 90 degrees, and I'll wrap it the other way so it looks like a big old silver football, and then I'll put it back in the smoker. And the reason you want to do that is that if you put it back in the smoker, the foil is going to help one, it's going to help the butt cook longer or cook faster, so you're not going to have to wait as long for it. And then 2, after a certain point, you're not really going to get a lot of smoke flavor. The smoke's going to start turning the meat bitter, so it's just kind of helped to protect it from that. But anyway, like I said, after I pull these guys off, I'll usually throw a little bit of seasoning on it, and the apple juice is just kind of to help give it moisture, because once it's wrapped in there, ideally it's wrapped tight, and then you just kind of throw it back on the smoker for a few hours and let it get up to a good temperature, about 205 degrees. Today I was running, what did I run on this? I ran hickory and I want to say apple chunks. I think it was definitely hickory and apple, because Hickory is one of the nicknames of Andrew Jackson, and he's from Tennessee, so I thought that was kind of ironically funny. And then apple, because apple makes pork taste better. But anyway, I just put about 6 chunks. I want to say 4 to 6 like small chunks in there. And I like to put them when I'm smoking long cooks. I like to put them underneath the charcoal. So I'll put the smoking wood in first, then I'll put the charcoal, and then I'll light it, and that just kind of, I feel like it helps doesn't overpower the pork, and it doesn't like a candle fuse, just kind of light and burn and catch, and then just kind of be like boop, and then it's done, and then you only got smoke flavor for about 2 hours, so it helps it kind of smolder. Like I said, you can see here I'm wrapping it. I'm not like the cutting. I'm not very good at the wrapping yet, but you know, hey, I'm working on it. So another thing is that when I did these pork butts, I used Kingsford Blue Bag. Yeah, the Kingsford Blue Bag. That's really what's around me that's quite popular, like what I can get easily. So I use some of that, and then I would say definitely don't use lump charcoal. Like lump charcoal has its place, but it's not the way we're Smoky Mountain. So anyway, you can see here, this is after the pork was done. Once I probed it, and I let it get up to about 205 degrees, and then I pulled it off and I wrapped it in a towel and I stuck it in an old cooler that I have for a couple hours. And then this is me trying to navigate not spilling the juice everywhere, because I've done that before. You can maybe see it on the back of the counter there. But I'm trying to navigate getting all the juice out, not making a big mess, and then pulling the pork troller out. Another thing, the way you can really tell if the pork is done is when you go to pull it, there's that blade bone if you have the bone in, and that thing should just slide out. Like you can see here, it's sliding out. That's how you know it's done. So I usually pull that out first, make sure it comes out real easy, and then I try to save all that juice that's in the full, because even though it looks like it's a lot of juice and it's a lot of fat, what's going to happen is once you go to pull that pork apart, it's going to dry out if you don't have that in there, because it's going to start wanting to suck the moisture back in. So I like to leave it in there, especially if you're not going to eat it. Like me and my wife aren't going to eat 2 pork butts in one sitting. So we're probably going to, I think we ate this over a few days, and we ended up giving some to friends. But same thing, it works a lot better if you have the leftovers, because it helps it keep the moisture. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video. Be sure to hit the like button and subscribe, and thanks for watching. And now you can just watch me and enjoy me pulling the pork. We interrupt this beautiful pork footage to bring back something that I forgot to mention. You can see, if like me, if you've never done this or you haven't done this very much, you can get these cloths things. They sell these. I think I got these at a kitchen store. They work really well if you're trying to pull it, but sometimes people like to pull it by hand. And I will say that something I did not know in the beginning that really was a game changer for me was, one, I need to get better at putting my elbow not in front of the camera so you guys can see the beautiful pork footage. But 2 is, if you go to the hardware store, they sell these gloves, and I'm sure you've seen them there. They're like the thick construction gloves that have the, it's like they have the thick rubber on one side and then the cotton cloth on the other. Like somebody just dipped it in rubber and then it dried. You definitely can get you a pair of those. And then I guess what these barbecue guys do that do this like hardcore is they'll put those gloves on and they'll put some nitrile or some latex gloves over top of them. And it doesn't protect your hand as well as like a welder glove, but it definitely makes it a lot easier to pull this stuff, because when this stuff comes off and you pull it, it's going to be very hot. So anyway, just food for thought. That was definitely something I wanted to mention here that was in my notes that I forgot. I hope you guys liked the video, and if you liked the video, be sure to hit the like button and subscribe, and thanks for watching.